Hello YouTube, it is Lucid Alvar here today with another video, and today we're actually going to be talking about some more Kenshi lore stuff. But before we even get into it, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you guys really do enjoy the video, and also make sure to join the Discord that I will link down in the description below. If you guys ever want to give me some ideas or want to just talk about Kenshi lore or just talk about life, I'm always there. I'm on most of the time and I will always talk to you guys there, so hopefully you guys do join that. But without further ado, let's get in. Damn, I'm trying to do the snappy thing. Let's get into the video. So today we're going to be talking about the Second Empire. So now the Second Empire was founded a couple thousand years ago. Nobody really knows when it was founded, but for some reason in the Kenshi universe, they don't take down dates. Now, I don't know what that's about. I mean, I think it's kind of nice to write down dates, but for some reason the NPCs in this goddamn fucking game don't write down dates. But, let's stop dwelling on that fact, Oliver. Let's give the audience what they want, which is the lore on the Second Empire. So the Second Empire was actually, kind of founded 1,000 years ago. It was founded by this person named Catlon. Now, in case you guys don't know, Catlon is actually considered the endgame boss, and he, you pretty much fight him and all this. In case you guys didn't know that, that's who he is. Catlon is pretty much the old emperor of the Second Empire. So, in case you guys didn't know that, nice little tip tucked in there. So, he ended up finding the Second Empire after the Chaos Age, which, it caused a lot of shit. Like, a lot of shit happened, because, Chaos Age, a lot of shit happened, and gave birth to the Second Empire, which Catlon and a couple of his skeleton followers, main notably one is Tin Fist, who we do know was second in command of the Second Empire. They pretty much ended up forming the Second Empire. They went out and conquered and united everything together. Now, when they did found the Second Empire, they ended up deciding to do it out of noble intentions. Where have we heard that before? Sounds like a whole lot of Holy Nation propaganda to me. Anyways, so they ended up doing this because, they thought, humanity should redeem for their actions. Now, in case I do refer back to the First Empire, don't confuse it with something else as me saying the Ancient Empire, because they're both the same thing. But what actually ended up happening was they were trying to found the Second Empire to redeem humanity's actions of what they did at Obedience. And in case you guys don't know what happened at Obedience, this is a huge history lesson that plays into a huge part of the Second Empire lore, so that's why I'm going to add this in. So, during the First Empire, Obedience was this place where they sent these behemoths to die. So now the behemoths themselves, they were pretty much these giant-ass robots. Like, they can throw something into fucking orbit if they wanted to. But, they didn't, thank God. But, I think they did, but I'm not sure. Anyways, so, they've realized that these things could be quite destructive in the wrong hands, so they decided to destroy them. Wow, what a nice move. Well, wrong. The behemoths, I believe, were the only things protecting the humans from, a possible skeleton outbreak or, type of thing, because at this point they're treating skeletons like slaves and all that. They're mainly there for labor and everything, and the humans were there for, scientific research. So, that's what was happening. And when they destroyed these behemoths, it was at Obedience, and, you could go to Obedience yourself and see all these big-ass claws and these big heads poking out. Pretty much that was a deep-ass fucking burial site for all their behemoths that they had sent there. And I'm pretty sure it had caused a lot of destruction to the environment, which ended up leading to the Chaos Age, where a lot of people believe that the skeletons rebel, and then there was a bunch of famine that was happening, and people were just dying, so it led to more famine, and everything just fell apart. And, a couple thousand years ago, after the Chaos Age, the Second Empire was founded by Catlon and his followers, and Tin Fist was his second in command. Now we're all caught up here. So, they believed that, kind of creating this for, to redeem humanity's actions. That's what they wanted to do. So, they were working really hard to kind of bring civilization back up to that tech level that you had seen during the First Empire, which, let's not lie, I'm pretty sure they had fucking laser guns or some shit. They had some cool shit probably. Who knows what they had. But anyways, that's what Catlon was ultimately trying to do. And this is in the beginning eras, I would say era of the Second Empire. And, during the beginning era too, for some reason in the northwest of the map where the cannibals are, people had started turning to cannibalism. Now, I don't think it was out of nowhere, to be precise. I think it happened because of probably famine and all that stuff, and during the Chaos Age, maybe people just never really noticed how bad things were there until, like, the Second Empire was actually founded and they realized how bad it was. It's kind of one of those things that's kind of like 50-50, you never really know. But anyways, Catalan had really disliked the cannibals for, obvious reasons, because who would have loved another species eating themselves to death? So, that happens. So, he ended up finding the hydraulic knights, and it was probably led by General Zhang, but we actually don't know who their leader is. I'm just kind of thinking that could be General Zhang because he's General Zhang. He's fucking General Zhang. Anyways, so, that was their leader, and he had spent a considerable amount of time of fighting the cannibals, but I think during the Middle Era and End Era, he kind of just gave up on it, realizing that it's kind of like a losing battle. I mean, you can keep on losing skeletons, but the humans can just repopulate by fucking just having kids and everything. And by humans, I mean the Greenlanders, in case you guys are getting confused here. So, there's all that. But, the Empire started to crumble a bit when Catalan had just kind of started becoming a little bit more on the dictator side. So, in case you guys don't know, so we're going to take this back to present day Kenshi. So, present day, this is all happening when you are playing the game. So, present game, if you go to the machinist headquarters, which is in World's End, you can go and talk to the leader of the machinist, which, they have two leaders. Talk to the skeleton leader, and if you are a skeleton, he will pretty much kind of straight up tell you that we are deleting all this stuff that the tech hunters are giving us, because first of all, we don't trust humanity with it, and second of all, because we did some horrible shit that we don't want you guys to know, because we know if you guys knew, pretty much they're gonna kill us. So, he doesn't say all that, but it's kind of implied that that's what's happening. So, don't think that I'm saying that he said that. He pretty much straight up tells you that he's destroying it, but it's kind of implied it's for those reasons. So, let's go back to the Second Empire now. So, around, I would say, the Middle Era and towards the End Era, that's when Catalan kind of became more of a dictator and started, being more oppressive to his people, cracking down on, his, own innocent citizens, and this created a lot of tension in the society, and I think this was kind of, I feel like Catalan had kind of planned it to kind of get these people that are acting out and everything and start testing on them. And now, a lot of people think that Sheks are the only things that are due to genetic testing, but I will actually say on the contrary that Scorchlanders too, I think they're probably, a little bit, they could be on the evolution side, but they could also be genetic experimentations, because if you really look at it, Scorchlanders and Shek are both complete opposites, so it could make sense that they created both, but you never really know. Anyways, so, they ended up doing that to the humans and creating the Shek, and now the Shek were actually enforcers, and they were actually keeping the humans down for quite some time, and it's why the Holy Nation actually doesn't like them to this day, because the Holy Nation, believe it or not, the Priest and the Phoenix, I think, are the most, they know the most history out of everybody. It could be biased, but they know everything from starting from Second Empire to now. I have no doubt in my mind, and that's why they have strong, such a strong hatred, and especially the Church of the Holy Nation. I have no doubts that they know a lot of the actual true history. So, let's get that out of the way. So this ended up leading to the creation of the Holy Nation, and now the Orcanites were starting to kind of amass in numbers, and I think Catalan was starting to see the painting on the wall that, that the Second Empire is starting to crumble. And, it's really unclear what caused the downfall of the Second Empire, but I think it was a mixture of the rebelling Orcanites that were kind of gaining strength, and then also the fact that the Shek kind of just decided to yeet out, so they didn't have their enforcers anymore. The Shek just pretty much, fucking boinked out and created their own Shek kingdom, and the Holy Nation actually started to win the rebellion against the Second Empire. And if you really think about it, I don't think it's that much of a surprise that the humans were doing this, because the skeletons often say that they came out of a noble cause. And you know why I think they say this? Because if you go towards the end of the Second Empire, where they're just stretching and they're trying to hold everything together, and they just fucking just explode, they just fall apart completely and lose everything, and what seems like overnight, is because I so heartedly believe that, Catalan had started, he had actually started creating thralls, but he had, pretty much fell into this hole where, he became such a dictator that he did not want to lose any of his power. He became a really power-hungry person, and since the skeletons didn't want to fight for him anymore, guess what he did? He pulled out their processor units and started making them thralls, which, I mean, isn't a bad idea if you say so myself, but, he was pretty much doing what the Shek have been known to do, which was driving themselves into extinction. And, Catalan had actually just ended up losing everything. Tin Fist actually ended up leaving. A lot of the skeletons and leaders that left early, kind of people don't really know that they were in the Second Empire high up. But, Tin Fist, he had actually left, and I think that's where you see his strong resentment for, all this slavery and stuff in the United Cities. I think that's where it comes from. It comes from, Catalan making probably a lot of his friends slaves and everything, and never being able to have them back, which is kind of sad if you really think about it, because Tin Fist was there with Catalan at the start, and he saw one of his best friends fall into this path. But we're not here to cry, right? We're not here to cry. Anyways, so Catalan had actually ended up losing the entire control of the Second Empire, and he retreated to the Ashlands, where you can actually find General Zhang too. So, you can see him over there too in Dome 3 if you guys ever want to go pay him a visit. But Catalan is over there, and a lot of the leaders, ended up kind of falling back towards the Ashlands. And then there's also some that live in the Black Desert City, which kind of shows that there's still kind of remnants of, I guess, the Second Empire that survived to this day. And, they either reside in, like, United City towns, Black Desert City, or the Ashlands, and it's kind of crazy to think about that the Second Empire had this much control and was doing so good at the start, but kind of just fell apart towards the end. And, this is where I'm going to wrap up the video, because that is all the lore on the Second Empire. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. I know this video is a little bit on the long side. Hopefully you guys got to this point. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.